Hi, I'm Michael. Welcome to New Victory Gardening. Today I'm going to spend this episode talking about mulch. So here we have 3 cubic yards of sawn redwood cuttings from a redwood mill. It's all clean, no glass, no plastic, all one type of wood, and so it's great to use as a mulch in certain instances. So this is the bulk of the work today, but why don't we talk about some of the other mulches that I'm using and employing in my garden right now. So here we have peat moss, sphagnum moss used as mulch. And you see it waters, it holds water. It was watered this morning, but it's still wet to the surface. And then right next to it, I'm using basically hardwood mulch. It's colored hardwood, and so I piled that up a little bit higher. Serves a similar purpose but works slightly different. There's another bed that's mulched with hardwood mulch. So there's a difference. I usually use hardwood mulch in the beds, and like a redwood, like a conifer mulch on the paths and around the beds. But I think I might try to change that and see what happens. It may be better to use some redwood mulch in the beds because they do kind of repel insects. So 3 different kinds of mulch I have right in the yard right now. Okay, so as I go about loading this mulch out and spreading it and demonstrating that for everybody, I'll talk about a few subjects kind of related to mulch. So first things first, things you can use as mulch. I've seen a wide variety of things used as mulch. You can use straw or hay. That's something that I'm not employing right now, but that can be used. I've seen some people use artificials like rubber, little broken down rubber pellets if they find them. I personally wouldn't recommend that, but folks have used it. Some people mulch with rocks, so you can, instead of using wood or chips of wood, you can use rocks. I don't know, some folks may have seen it in grapes that are grown for wine. They'll use small light colored or else white rock like in between the paths and immediately underneath the grapes, and so that can be used as a mulch. And they all have their different uses or purposes. Folks have mulched with cardboard. They use that maybe as an underlayment for another type of mulch, so they lay cardboard down first and then lay something on top of it, and that has a smothering effect if you're trying to change or remove vegetation. And so the principle of mulch is that you're trying to create a healthy environment, but at the same time provide some insulation, right? And so you use the mulch, you pile it up, and you started to dig down into the mulch. On a hot day, the top of the mulch will be very close to the ambient temperature, but as you go down, the temperature will kind of go down to the ground's nominal temperature a whole lot faster than if there wasn't mulch present. And a second great thing about mulch, I know if folks have gardened for a while have noticed, is that mulch helps with moisture. So when you water an area, you have to water it more, but it also holds the moisture a lot more because the wood actually soaks up some of the water. So if you're using a natural substrate like straw, like Peter sphagnum moss, like wood chips or any kind of processed wood, you'll see that the wood actually soaks up some water, and then what's left over goes down and the ground soaks that up. And so in order to dry the area out, the sun would have to, or just the ambient conditions would have to dry out all the wood and then dry out the soil. And it's most noticeable when you get about 3 to 4 inches or more. So when you're laying out mulch, you want to plan just to get 3 or 4 inches of mulch down on top of the soil, and then you'll start to see those benefits. And so as I'm loading here, you see that it's kind of an aerobic activity, so no need to go to the gym. You'll get your workout. Load mulch is not heavy. It's not heavy work, but it's kind of like taking a jog. You go and take a mile-long run or a brisk walk, and that's what loading mulch is like. And so if you get the right tools, it actually can be something that's enjoyable. And so here I display the tools that you use for mulching. I got these over time just because I load so much. You want a big shovel, you want a big landscape rake, and then you want something like a wheelbarrow. I have that contractor's wheelbarrow, but you just want something so that you can load a lot of it. And that shovel is really great because it loads, probably 4 to 6 times as much as a normal shovel. And so it really helps you move the mulch fast because it's lightweight. And so I do this maybe once a quarter. I would load out this much mulch, maybe twice a year. It depends on the condition of my mulch. So it's not like it even takes that much time. You have to mow a yard every week almost in the summertime, but you can load mulch out seasonally, especially if you find a good deal on it. I got this mulch for something like $14 a cubic yard. And so you load it out. Then you take your big rake or some implement that you can use to spread the mulch out, kind of keeping in mind that you want to spread it so that there's about 3 to 5 inches of float there. It's kind of like a start. Now, some folks will say the more the better with mulch. So if you can get a thicker layer down, that's better. But for me, I'd rather try to tend towards what you should minimum. If you have less than 3 inches, sometimes it's just not enough mulch for it to do a good job. So weeds can poke through it. It's not going to hold moisture as good, and it's not going to provide like the insulation that you need. And so today, you notice I'm sweating quite a bit because it's 100 degrees and we're forecast to be over 105 for the next week. And so getting this mulch down, for me, it's kind of an emergency response to help insulate my yard and insulate so my plants can withstand that heat. And so then I would be watering around, down and through, and it'll be helping insulate the whole area. And there's one other thing I'll say about mulch, and I don't know, maybe it's obvious, maybe some of the more savvy mulch people around are saying it as they're watching the video, but I'll say it here just for thought and consideration, is the color. So if you notice, by applying this mulch and spreading it out, I'm making the color of that entire area's ground surface just a little bit lighter. That redwood has that reddish color, and some colors like approach towards cream as well. And so I'm like making the area in my garden just a little bit lighter than what it was. And so that has the same effect. The lighter color reflects more infrared, reflects more UV, and it'll help just keep the entire area just a bit cooler, right? If I used a dark mulch, it would be absorbing more of that heat and it would be a little warmer. But it goes right in with that principle of using white rock, right? As a mulch to help kind of control the microclimate conditions in an area. So for me, that's an added benefit of having this mulch and spreading it around, is I'm making my area just a little bit lighter. I'm better insulating the area. And then when I water, it's also gonna help retain water, and that's the point. And so what immediately benefited from this is my blackberry vines and grapevines, which are immediately under the mulch that I'm spreading. But even in my boxes, like just making the area cooler is a benefit all around, and it'll just help the resiliency of my plants. So the fact that I'm not using this in my garden beds and just spreading it around on the paths, it still has an effect on the climate and the conditions in my immediate area, right? So you pair that with a little bit of shade, and you water the appropriate amount of water for the temperature and conditions, and it'll go a long way in helping your resiliency, like make your garden stand the test of time, make your garden resistant to heat. Heat is more of a concern in my area. We have mild winters in Northern California, but you can also use mulch in cold climates to help store things, store root vegetables, store help plants survive the winter, greens and so on and so forth, if you dig them into mulch. And so it just has a myriad of benefits. And so with that, I'm done. I think I'm gonna sit down and take a break. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you all. Mulch 101, of course I'll make more videos on it, but that'll have to be at a future date. Take care.